The Blue Jackets continue to be the most confusing team in the NHL, and I will explain why they have me so confused today on Locked on Blue Jackets.
You're Locked on Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Locked on Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Hayden Housorn. The other co-host, Jay Foster, is out today. He will be back in due time, but I am here to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of your favorite team and ours, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Before I get going, I want to say thank you to the everydayers for making this your first listen every day. If you're not already one of our everydayers, well, Locked on Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms. We're free right here on YouTube. Say hi and hit subscribe. And we're also free on the SiriusXM app. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started today. And I know it might already be a confusing statement to explain how I'm confused, because I just feel like by nature, explaining something kind of should be clearing up confusion, but it's quite the opposite. I am confused. Like, I cover this team every day. I watch this team. I don't know what to make of them, and I don't know what to tell people when they ask me about them, because, for example, I'm sitting there at a bar watching this Blue Jackets game against the Devils, which, you know, it was a 4-3 Devils win in overtime. Just another classic Blue Jackets game where they had a chance to win it, probably should have won it, and the better team wins it at the end of the day, even though the Blue Jackets very well could have been the better team tonight. That's where my confusion lies. It's like, I watch this game and I'm like, Blue Jackets are going stride for stride with the New Jersey Devils. They're actually, from like optically, they are dominating the pace of play. And I think that's what kept the Devils off the score sheet earlier in that game, was the Blue Jackets were just able to maintain possession really well. And yeah, they just looked like they just played a really solid game from start to finish. I felt like, even though the result didn't go their way, I still think that the guys should be proud of the way that they played. But at the same time, that should have been a win. That's another game that should have absolutely been a win. And anyway, back to the story with my brother. We're sitting there having some drinks, watching the game, and it's going very well. You know, the Blue Jackets were up 2-1 at one point. And he asked me, he's like, are the Blue Jackets going to be a playoff team this year? And I just said, like, I hesitated. I hesitated because I know they're not going to be a playoff team this year, right? You, the everydayer, you know that they're not going to be a playoff team this year. Yet that there was that slight moment where I'm watching them play and I'm like, well, they should be a playoff team. Like, they're good enough to be a playoff team. And that's where it's just so darn frustrating that they're not going to be, because they lose games like this. And, you know, they're getting better. Like, there's no doubt the team is getting better, because when I got home and was getting ready to do this show, I pulled up a quick box score, as I always do. You know, just searched Blue Jackets versus Devils. And the first thing that popped up was actually the April 6th game from 2023, and which would have been the last season, obviously. And let me remind you, the Jackets lost in New Jersey in April. They lost 8-1. Just 8 months ago, they were getting beat that badly by this same exact New Jersey Devils team, minus Damon Severson, obviously, who's playing for the Blue Jackets now, who made a tremendous difference tonight, as I predicted, and as anybody could have predicted. Damon Severson is obviously a tremendous player and has been a huge help for the team. But just right there. Like, you can pull up old box scores from last season, and it's evident. And it is one thing is clear is that the team is getting better, but yet they still can't get wins somehow. And it's really not actually all that confusing, because I think Jay, when he was on here the other day trying to calm me down after a 2-0 that happened in the, what was it? Was it the Capitals game or it was the Capitals game? Yeah. The Blue Jackets, I'm still so hung up on this 2-0 that I think Chinnikov and Sillinger, Chinnikov and Texier had with Charlie Lindgren, and the Blue Jackets didn't even get a shot on goal. I'm still hung up over that play, just because those are the moments, right? These are the moments in games where you get a goal to put teams away. And I obviously understand you're not going to get a goal every single time. You're probably not going to get a goal even half the time. But can you guys recall for me one time this year where the Blue Jackets scored a goal on a 2-on-1 or a 2-on-0 or a breakaway? It really feels like it doesn't happen. Now, it did happen tonight later in the game, and Chinnikov did make a really great effort play to steal the puck and put it past Vita Vanacek. And listen, that's what I'm talking about right there. Those are the moments in games that the Blue Jackets need to be better at capitalizing on. Those things are going to lead to wins. They're going to lead to points. And the Blue Jackets did get a point tonight, and it was because of that play. Granted, they should have gotten 2 points tonight, but of course, the Devils have a tremendous hockey player in Luke Hughes on their team, who just was playing beer league hockey when he just took the puck on that empty net, went coast to coast and shot it. Made 5 Blue Jackets standing on the ice look really, really dumb and inept in that moment. But that's just how good of a player Luke Hughes is. And the Blue Jackets have some tremendous defensemen. They have David Jiricek, who just is so awesome, and he's so smooth. Those gloves, the way that he moves his hands with the puck is just unlike any defenseman I've really seen for the Blue Jackets. I don't think the Blue Jackets have had a defenseman like David Jiricek. Zach Werenski is obviously a huge he's great on offense. Like, he augmented that first goal. I don't believe he got a point for that first goal that Jake Bean scored, but that was all Zach Werenski on that play on the half wall, who got that whole thing going, got that puck over to Brandon Gauntz, who got that shot on. Jake Bean gets the rebound and good. And hopefully, I didn't see any reports yet after the game, but Andre Palat did tie up Zach Werenski sometime. I believe that was in the second period, and I didn't know what was going on, right? I was with my brother again. I was sitting there just trying to talk to him a little bit, and we're watching the game, and I miss I miss like 1 second of the game, and I look up, and Zach Werenski is crawling on the ice, and I'm like just praying at this point that he lost a blade, because usually that's what happens. Like, that's what it looks like. Like, that's what it looked like. I was hoping that he had just lost part of his skate and was just trying to get back to the bench. Eventually, I learned that he was hurt, and that's devastating, because if he's out, the season's over. Like, I mean, if he's out long term, I mean, anything over 2 weeks, I'm going to be very upset. And it looks like I got an update from CBJ Public Relations. CBJ defenseman Zach Werenski suffered a lower body injury in the second period at New Jersey and will not return to tonight's game. So I guess we'll find out. We'll find out today. You're listening to this one on Thursday, and we'll know more today, I guess, when the team gets back to Columbus to prepare for the Leafs, who are coming into town on Friday. And yeah, if the Blue Jackets don't have Zach Werenski, then this season is, if they don't have him long term, this season is over. He is absolutely their most consistent player, no doubt about it. He might not be their best player, but he is darn sure their most consistent player. And they're a different team without him. They are a different team without him. So that's going to be something to look out for. But all this being said, I still think the Blue Jackets are getting better game to game. This was a very entertaining game to watch. All the games that the Blue Jackets play have been entertaining games. It's frustrating that they're not able to get a point, or they're not able to get 2 points. They did get a point tonight. And again, credit Igor Chinikov, who made that. He made that whole play happen, and he scored that goal. And those are the kind of goals that the Blue Jackets need to score if they want to bury teams. Because again, there was a play tonight when Cole Sillinger and Alexander Texier had a 2-on-1, and credit Cole Sillinger, who got the puck over to Texier, and credit Texier, who got a shot off, not on net, but it seemed like he had a decent look, and he just wasn't able to bury it. And I know, obviously, he is trying to score the goal, but it's just frustrating because it just seems like every other team that the Blue Jackets play, they're able to score goals like that, but it's not like that for the Blue Jackets. And honestly, how many times have the Blue Jackets scored on the rush this year in general? Because the Devils had a goal like that tonight when Andre Palat came right out of the box on that first goal that they scored. Him and Mercer working together, and Eric Holla, like those guys were absolutely cooking in the middle of the ice, and the Blue Jackets couldn't do anything about it. Like, why can't we see that same hockey from the Blue Jackets at times? I wonder. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know if it's inexperience. I think Jay would definitely argue that it's inexperience, and I would rather believe that than anything else, because I still like Pascal Vincent as the coach, and I don't really like to talk about John Davidson and Jarmo Kekalainen's jobs because, again, I feel like those two guys are doing everything they can to put a competitor on the ice. It's the team that's not getting it done. I've gone on long enough complaining about this game. I definitely can complain about it a lot more, and I'm sure I will do that the rest of the episode. But I'm going to try to focus on some more positive things maybe in the next segment, unless I just have some more negative things that come to mind. I don't know. We'll see next here on Locked on Blue Jackets. Next, I want to tell you guys about Sleeper. We're almost in the halfway point of the season, Jackets fans. So I know the Jackets aren't doing so well, but I have the Sleeper app for fantasy football. I'm in the fantasy football championship in my league. And I got to say, I've been playing fantasy sports for a long time, and Sleeper is by far the best app. So regardless of where the Jackets are in the standings, I want to remind you guys that you could be winning big right now by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper. It's the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is my number one choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. So a guy that I would be picking right now is Nikita Kucherov, because he is ripping through the league. Connor McDavid's always a safe pick. Your Nathan McKinnon's of the world. Those guys are going to be crushing it. Artemi Panarin. Pick guys like that, and you can have a chance to win big. All you got to do is pick against Sleeper's projections on 8 different stats, and you can win 100 times your money by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper. So start paying attention, Jackets fans, and nail your picks, and you can start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and location availability. All right, Jackets, we're breaking down this 4-3 overtime loss. It is their 7th overtime loss on the year. It is their 5th straight loss against a Metro team. And this one, they could have won this one tonight. And I thought they played a very good game. Notoriously, at points in this season, the Jackets were only able to play 40 minutes of hockey, and then they would just blow it in the third. I actually think the Jackets played a full 60 minutes of hockey tonight. It's just the Devils, they're a tough team. Like, let's be honest. Like, we all know Jack Hughes, Tyler Toffoli, Dougie Hamilton, Luke Hughes, who had a goal tonight. But it's those guys like Andre Palat, Dawson Mercer, Eric Halla. Like, those guys are just such solid players and can be such thorns in the side for teams like the Blue Jackets and just teams all over the NHL, really. And if I'm a general manager, I'm trying to build a team like that. And I actually think the Jackets do have a team like that because like the way, like watch Jake Bean play tonight. Like the way that guy was playing, that guy was buzzing all over the place. He had offensive chances. He had an offensive chance after offensive chance. And same with Justin Danforth, who plays with the forwards. He had offensive opportunity out of offensive opportunity. Like, just things were starting to go well for Columbus tonight. And it just stinks that they weren't able to get Elvis a win, who played very good. I do have his stats in front of me, but that dude seems to be really honing it in at a good time. I mean, this is a good time to be honing it in. It's just the Jackets aren't able to be – they're not able to keep up and to – again, this is where I go back to opportunities in the game where you have broken through the defense. You are all alone with the goalie, and the whole point of this game of hockey is to put the puck in the net. And you have done everything you have needed to do at this point to set yourself up to give yourself a good look. And the Jackets just, it's almost like, oh, this is too good to be true. This is too good to be true, and they're not able to get it done. Columbus needs to get better at that. If I was Pascal Vincent, I would have this team running 2-on-1s all day at practice tomorrow. No doubt about it. Like, the Blue Jackets have to be better at their 2-on-1 opportunities because they're able to establish play in the offensive zone. They're able to cycle the puck. I thought the forwards were doing a great job tonight, getting pucks back to their defensemen who were throwing it on net and creating offense and creating pressure for guys on the defense for the Devils. And I could sit here and go back and forth on it all day, but the truth is the Blue Jackets are continually getting better. As I mentioned earlier, it was just 8 months ago when the Blue Jackets suffered an 8-1 loss at the Prudential Center. And now in 2 games at the Prudential Center this year, they're tied 6-6 in scoring there. And I know they got crushed by the Devils at home. That was Daniil Tarasov's first game back after not playing in 9 months. And I mean, I'm just going to chalk it up to he hadn't seen NHL ice in a very long time. And I guess playing the New Jersey Devils is not really the greatest welcome back that you can have. And I'd like to see him get another crack at the Devils. The Blue Jackets will play the Devils again, actually, in just about 3 weeks from now. They got the Devils coming to Nationwide for a Friday night game on the 19th of January. So that'll be the last matchup for the Blue Jackets against New Jersey. Chance to go out in that series with a win. And I think every time the Devils and the Blue Jackets get on the ice together, it's a very entertaining game. These are two teams that are in very similar situations in terms of their youth. They have so many young players. It's just the Devils are getting a little bit more out of their younger players in terms of like they're winning games. They are succeeding in clutch moments in clutch opportunities, whereas the Blue Jackets are not as much. And again, so many new guys on this roster, right? Adam Fantilli is a brand newcomer who's just figuring out his way in the league. I did like he's starting to play with with a lot more just grit, really. It was a moment there in that first period when he was kind of going back and forth and jawing with Kevin Ball, the 6'6" defenseman for the Devils. He kind of roughed him up, and then Adam Fantilli came back behind him, gave him a little cross check that the refs didn't see. But I like that kind of stuff out of Adam Fantilli because, yeah, you don't need a big guy to stick up for you if you're just going to stick up for yourself. And honestly, Kevin Ball, you are a big dude, and you don't need to be pushing around rookies And I think Adam Fantilli, who got wrecked by TJ Oshie in the preseason, he learned a lesson. He learned a lesson in that preseason game, which was just ridiculous. The fact that looking back at it, the fact that TJ Oshie was playing that hard in a preseason game against a rookie. But I think from that moment, Adam Fantilli learned, I need to get some tougher skin because this league is tough and it's physical. It's physical, and you're playing a lot more than just the 30 games that they play in college. I don't even know. But I'm really pleased with the way that he's been playing. I think all the forwards, this isn't really just, and I thought about this because Adam Fantilli has been getting so much ice time. I'd like to see him. He's not bad on the back check, and I don't think anybody's really bad on the back check, but I would be happier if I saw some of these forwards focus more on the back check, because I think that's things like teams like the Maple Leafs do that really well, and we'll see that on Friday night. Just keeping your stick out in front of you and just I know that's a fine line to walk, right? Using your stick all the time can sometimes lead to penalties, but if you watch teams like the Maple Leafs, they do a really good job at just making themselves seem bigger and cover up more space and just block passing lanes. I'd like to see the Blue Jackets do a little bit more of that. And that's what led to Igor Chinakov's goal tonight, right? He was just being relentless there on the forecheck and got the puck and made a turnover and got a goal out of it. Like, those are the things that are going to win you games and ultimately get you in the playoffs. And I know it's easier said than done, but I think if the Blue Jackets can start to do those things better, then they'll start to win games. And yeah, that's enough to really be said about that. I will wrap all my thoughts on this game up because at the end of the day, the Blue Jackets did lose. Not really good for the playoffs race if they're even in it, if they even were in it going into this game. We'll talk about where the Blue Jackets stand with that next here on Locked On Blue Jackets. Next, I want to tell you guys about FanDuel, America's number one sportsbook. As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So if you're a Browns fan, hey, you play the Jets tonight. That's a good game. That's a good game for you. I know I'm looking right here on FanDuel, and the Browns are minus 330 on the money line. So you're not really getting great value. You're not getting any value on that. You're pretty much just burning $5 hoping to get it back. But when you place that $5 money line bet, and if the Browns win, you will collect $150 in bonus bets. Or, if you want to win money on your money line bet, take the Lions this week. They are going down to Dallas. They have the NFC North wrapped up, but they're playing indoors. They always play good indoors. Jared Goff is a great quarterback indoors. And they're plus 225, I believe, when I was looking on FanDuel. So you can get some good value there. So two different ways you can go with it. If you want a secure win, take the Browns tonight, Thursday Night Football against the Jets, or take the Lions on Saturday when they play the Cowboys. But if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. It's an app that's super easy to use with a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. All right, just giving my final thoughts on the 4-3 overtime loss tonight in New Jersey. And listen, I thought Elvis played good. I think he is playing good at the right time. I think a lot of the young guys are really starting to look solid as well. Like Jake Bean's effort tonight was just immaculate. I thought he had a great game. And, Adam Fantilli, he's buzzing around as always. Yeah, I'm really, and Igor Chinakhov, of course, like he had that one goal that should have given the Jackets the win if it wasn't for Luke Hughes. When Luke Hughes did that, come on, like for those who play beer league, right? We all know that one team that has that kid fresh out of high school that just takes the puck, is playing defense, and can just score a goal whenever he wants. That was essentially Luke Hughes tonight. And I'm so jealous that that the Devils have a team like that where they have such a fantastic player on offense in Jack Hughes, supplemented by his younger brother and Luke Hughes, who is essentially the same thing. And how old is Luke Hughes? He's got to be like 22 years old, right? But he plays like a 15-year veteran with the way that he's able to find passes. He's 20. Luke Hughes is 20. Can't even buy a drink in Manhattan. And he literally looks like a 10-year veteran out there. At least he does to my eye, which we all know Hayden doesn't know puck. So what do I even know? But he's a great player. He's fantastic. And I'm so jealous of that. I think the Blue Jackets have a good decor, and I think that, listen, when they get guys like Denton Matejchuk coming in and Corson Kuhlman's, like these guys are hopefully going to make the defense even better from an offensive perspective, because I still am, even though it's not great, I think the defense has been a lot better protecting Elvis. And I think Elvis has been a lot better himself. Now, granted, something is still going on. Like the Blue Jackets are still losing these games, still giving up goals. I personally chalk it up to, I think the modern NHL is just a lot quicker and a lot faster nowadays. You see a lot more high-scoring games. But I think you can fix all these problems with your defense by just playing better offense. Like when the Blue Jackets, like the Devils are easily a team that can put 6 goals up on the Blue Jackets. They just have that much talent on offense. But I think Columbus, again, did a really good job all night tonight, holding possession of the puck, keeping the Devils away from the puck, trying to do things to create offense for themselves, and it worked for them. It worked for them. They had a 2-1 lead in the second period. They had a 3-2 lead late in this game. Again, it's a game they should have won, and I haven't even talked about the overtime period yet, which I just Kent Johnson, man. Like he has plays throughout this season that are just so amazing, and I'm just like, why would we ever bench this dude? Like, why is this dude not on the ice every single time? And then a play happens tonight, and I know it's just a fan. Like every single player in the league is gonna fan and whiff on a puck, but man, in overtime, in that situation, that's not when you need to be fanning and whiffing on pucks. And I'm not saying it's a problem with him. It's frustrating. Like he does deserve a little bit of blame for leaving Elvis 1-0 with Timo Meier, who is a phenomenal player. And yeah, that's I'm gonna chalk that one up to a young player mistake. I guess every single mistake that does happen usually is a young player mistake, but again, he's got to clean that up, because it feels like that's kind of starting to happen more often than it should with a player as highly talented as he is. Like he's too good of a hockey player to be having moments like that. And if he just cleans that up, then yeah, maybe the Blue Jackets will lose less games. I don't know. The Blue Jackets could have lost that game later in the third period, but they definitely could have won that game had he not whiffed on that puck, and if he had gotten and if he would have put that shot on goal. And it is what it is. I don't really need to harp on him too much. He's a phenomenal player, but as I look at the NHL standings, I do have to talk about this. The Blue Jackets are dead last in the Metro. They were 11 points out of a playoff spot going into this game, and I'm pulling up the standings right now. They're 10 points out of a playoff spot right now. So I don't know how they got a point tonight. That makes sense. But it's still, I don't feel good. I don't feel good. I don't. I feel good about how the team is getting better. But we've been saying that now for months. This team should be winning games. They should be clawing their way back into the playoffs already. And as I'm talking about this, as I think about this game, if you can cut the wild card, if you can cut the distance between you and that last wild card spot down to 5 points by the end of January, then you have a chance. You definitely have a chance. 5 points back out of a wild card spot with 3 months of hockey left to play. Like that will feel good. Really. Like I will feel good about the Jackets' chances to get back in the playoffs. But let me just read the schedule for the month of January. The Jackets got the Bruins, they got the Flyers on the road, the Wild at home. Then they go to Winnipeg, and then they come back home, have the Kraken, Canucks, and Devils. And then you play 5 games on the road to end the month of January, all on the West Coast. Oilers, Flames, Canucks, Kraken, Blues. So, hey, crazier things, right? The Blues in, what was that, 2017, 2019, whatever flipping year it was. 2019, the Blues were dead last in the month of January, and they came all the way back to win the Stanley Cup with Craig Berube, who is floating out there with no team to coach. And I know some of you guys have commented in our comment section saying, please talk about Berube. Listen, I'm okay with the way that Pascal Vincent is coaching this team. I don't think that Pascal Vincent is the problem. I think it's inexperience. I think inexperience is definitely the problem with this team, and there's no way to really change that. I think the only way you do change that is by making the coach, making the players practice certain situations. I think this team needs to be practicing their 2-on-1s, needs to be practicing their 2-on-0s. And hey, that's going to be good for your goalies because they get put in those situations all the time. I know they had tons of practice on those situations last year when the Blue Jackets had nobody playing defense. But just run some of those drills in practice. I'm sure the players would love that. That's just a little tip from me to you, Pascal. You could choose to do with that as you please. All right, tomorrow we'll be back talking about the Leafs game. Yes, the Blue Jackets play the Maple Leafs again. As I quickly scan through the schedule, I believe that is the last time they will be playing the Maple Leafs this year. So yeah, it is the series finale against the Toronto Maple Leafs coming up on Friday. The Blue Jackets obviously lost to the Leafs on Saturday just before Christmas, 4-1 at home. That's not going to happen again. Blue Jackets will not lose 4-1. They will. I'm going to just do an early prediction and just say the Blue Jackets are going to beat the Maple Leafs at home on Friday night because they're starting to play better. They are. I predicted a win in this game against the Devils, and I felt good about it. I actually predicted a 4-1 win. And at one point, this game was 2-1. Blue Jackets were dominating play. I thought they absolutely could do it. But I guess, I didn't count for the fact that the third period exists and the Jackets, they really have a rivalry with the third period. That is the one opponent they have not been able to overcome. And it's just too bad because every single hockey game has a third period. The Blue Jackets just can't excel in those moments for some reason. All right, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Tomorrow, as I said, we'll be back previewing the Maple Leafs game, which is Friday night at Nationwide. As always, thank you to the everydayers for tuning into this podcast every single day. If you want to follow along with me on social media, I am on there at HaydenH971. On Twitter is where I'm at. Jay is on there at _JAKOBFORSTER. The show is on there at LO_Blue Jackets. And as always, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please direct those to us at LockedOnBlueJackets@gmail.com. Thank you once again for listening. And until tomorrow, make sure you stay locked on.